Got it.
Mic check. Okay, here we go, folks. We are going to go live in a couple seconds. So let's go ahead and turn this thing up right now. Hey, everybody. Thank you for standing by. I appreciate everybody. These two ladies have been standing by, and they are crazy as they can be. But let me go and cut that. I hate that. Was pretty good music there. But, yeah. Folks, thank you very, very much for supporting SQAIR Media. I do appreciate that. And tonight we are going to introduce a brand new show. And I'm very excited about that. Ladies, thank you very much for being on the show. Thank you to agreeing to a show on the network. So I appreciate that.
Thank you for having us. We're excited.
We are excited.
Steve has already experienced a little bit of us.
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
And we've only had water.
I know, right? I know. So this is the time if you want to go ahead and share the link on Facebook, you can go ahead and do that. Watch and share. So I'm going to do a watch party here shortly. Give me just a second. There we go. Perfect. There we go. Start that. Okay, perfect. So, so ladies, we are here again to introduce a. Is that me? Probably. We're here to introduce a brand new show. What's the name of the show, ladies?
Entre Nos.
Entre Nos.
Yes.
I would have just messed that up. Entre Nos.
Entree.
No.
Entre Nos.
Entre Nos.
Entre Nos.
That's awesome. Here's the thing about this, about all of this, folks, is that SQAIR is the platform that we developed so that we could have conversations about any and everything that's going on in the community. I never wanted this to be an all-black network. I wanted it to be a black and brown network. It has to be in order for it to function properly. So this show kind of hits right at the Latin community,
yes.
You would say?
Yes.
Okay. So hit me if I'm saying something wrong here. But I do appreciate you ladies agreeing to coming on the network and having this show. I think it's going to be a phenomenal show. So let's talk about you for a moment. What do you, when I first came to you and said, hey, what do you think about doing a show? What was the initial idea or thought?
Well, I think the initial thought was we're just excited to participate in a new project. In the past, we had participated in some, like radio, but it was never the opportunity to have our own platform to discuss the topics that we feel are important in the community. So immediately we were excited. I know there was a lot of back and forth, and, Steve came to see us.
I did. Yeah, I did.
We were flattered, very flattered. But yeah, I mean, the initial thought was there's so much that we can do with this.
Right.
And we wanted it to be something that is also entertaining to us.
Sure. Yep.
So, and not too related to what we do every day in our job.
Speaking of that, what exactly do you ladies do for a living?
Nothing. We just smile all day.
That's the equivalent of the answer. What was that answer that the author gave?
Oh, I hate it when you ask me that. When people ask me that question, right. I'm just not going to answer it. No, we are immigration attorneys.
That's amazing.
We are business partners, and we have our own law firm. It's called Cano, Rivera Law, and that's what we do for a living.
That's awesome.
So we just do everything together at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like another project that we do together. And soon you'll pick up that sometimes we speak at the same time and we give the same answer.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. That means you guys are connected.
Right.
I think that's awesome. What was I going to say here? I love the idea that this is completely Latin, and as you were saying, there's going to be some shows that'll be spoken totally in Latin. I mean Latin in Spanish.
We can't speak Latin.
Yeah, sorry. There's another show coming on. It's going to be spoken in Pig Latin. Sorry. Jesus.
But yes, since it'll be 2 shows a month, one will be completely in Spanish and one will be completely in English, and they will be different topics. So it's not like one is going to be a translation of the other show.
Right.
So it'll, if you're bilingual, please watch both because we're going to cover different topics.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool, and that's what this whole thing is about. There's the logo, and I think it's pretty cool. There's going to be a lot of people are going to be able to see this, so that's really, really cool. Here's some of the questions, though, some of the things that we want to kind of cover.
That is something that we say a lot in American communities. The Entre Nos, it's something that you usually say right before you tell someone like a secret or something that you wouldn't share publicly. It's like, what would be the equivalent in English?
It's like saying between you and me.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty cool.
It's more of like an opinion that you might only share with a close person.
Right.
But you might not actually say it in public. So you would say, between you and me, Steve,
Sorry.
No problem. But that's basically what it is, and it's a good play of words because obviously we're public. So,
well, the funny thing is, I mean, people say that fairly often.
Yes.
Especially, of course, I know in the black community, they're like, "Hey, man, listen, between me and you, so and so and so and so and so and so."
Exactly.
But don't, that's just between me and you. Don't tell anybody. That's the biggest falsehood right there. Don't tell anybody because it's going to be told.
Right.
But the idea of saying it is
share with a close person.
Is that me again?
God, I think it's you this time.
These technical difficulties.
Especially. What are we doing? But no, that's very, very cool. That title is great, Between Me and You, because again, a lot of people do say it, and it's funny when you told me what the title meant, I said so many people say that when they want to keep something on the down low. Listen, don't say this. I just between me and you.
Right.
But I heard that. Yeah. Okay.
So that just means that it's going to be our opinions
Come
that we
closer to the
usually.
mic.
That just means that it's going to be our opinions.
And that's perfectly
what I'm
fine.
saying?
Yeah.
What we usually would speak about that we never actually say out loud, but we wish somebody would say it and bring awareness to it.
Well, maybe your guest can say it.
Right.
Yeah.
Who you might bring on the show?
Yes, we have discussed that, and we already have a couple of people in mind.
Yeah, we have an employment law attorney to speak about employees' rights in the workplace. We're thinking about a financial consultant to speak about the importance of building credit history and saving money, like retirement, 401ks, IRAs. This is not something that's really spoken about in the community or thought of.
Right.
And we were also thinking about for the Puerto Rican diaspora, we have a representative from D.C.
Yes, we have. I have
really?
a friend who created a group of Puerto Ricans in the diaspora.
Right.
So we might have him in one of the shows to speak about that.
It's funny, when we were talking initially, you guys mentioned that, let me see if I can remember this exactly. There was a kind of a thing or an issue where women's age is a thing. You remember the conversation that we had?
Everything is a thing with the Latin community. If you're a woman.
Oh, you meant as far as the different types of audience?
No. Like, for instance, I remember you telling me that people, maybe older women, would come up to you and say, "You need to be married."
Oh, yes.
If you would stop working so much.
Right. Right.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, that is definitely a topic. Like the expectation of at what age is the appropriate age to be married and start a family.
Right.
And how it's perceived in some of the Latin communities, because it's not true that that is true for everyone in the Latin community.
Sure. Yeah.
But, you know, there are subcultures and subcommunities within our community, which is very broad.
Right. The topics that you guys are going to be covering, does it cover just a large variety of things, I guess, that happen in the Latin community?
Yes, it does. I think it's a lot of, we had discussed about maybe focusing a little bit on what we observe in North Carolina.
Right.
Because the Hispanic community in North Carolina is a very different population and community than in other states, like we had mentioned South Florida, for example.
Well, yeah, that's true. I know that for a fact. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's observation, things we have observed in the community, trends.
What are some of the differences between here and like Miami?
I would say one of the main things I have observed is that in Miami, I believe that there's a lot of second generation immigrants already.
Right.
And if you go to, going to law school there and college there, there's a large population of the Hispanic community.
Right.
Here, I would say that it's less. The young people who pursue post-secondary education. And I wonder if that has to do more with the background. As far as their parents.
Right.
I mean, teen pregnancy is anywhere across the board, but in the Latin community, I can definitely say that I have observed a lot of young females having kids
here. Okay,
yes.
As opposed to South Florida.
Yeah.
So is South Florida more driven by education and money or something, or
it might be.
Okay.
It might just be that the community has more representation at different levels.
I know there's stronger roots there for
There's
sure.
way stronger roots.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I also feel like at least the Latin community in Charlotte, it's constantly growing as we see that pattern of people who just recently entered the United States versus I feel like in Florida or in South Florida, they have been there for longer generations.
Like in California
Like
or
right.
Arizona,
Right.
Yes.
right? Yeah.
So maybe it might also be that in those states, you already have someone who can pull you up, and here you might be the first one.
Right, and so now you're having to pull people up.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a big deal. It's a big responsibility. Wow. So what are some of the other differences or things that you've noticed here that are just really different?
Well, I think Jossie can talk about Puerto Rico because she has a whole different perspective
Right.
on what being Latina is like, because there is a difference between being a second generation immigrant and being an immigrant. I mean, Puerto Rican,
But go ahead.
they're very, I always tell her, Puerto Ricans are so interesting because you're born U.S. citizens.
Right.
So they're not immigrants,
But they're look, Puerto Ricans are treated like
exactly.
they're from Mars.
Yes.
Yes.
It's the dumbest damn thing. Listen, I'll be frank, and I'm always frank about the things that I talk about. I love this country. It's great, but this is a dirty ass country. Shit is wrong. I'm sorry, I just had to throw that out there. All right.
Yeah, definitely extremely unfair.
Yeah.
But yes, we are kind of an interesting topic because, I mean, I moved here we call it the mainland, right?
Right.
I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, and I moved here almost 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved straight from Puerto Rico here. I didn't come from any other state.
Oh, you moved right into Charlotte.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it was a cultural shock for me because I miss so many things about the island and being on island time and the culture and the food, and then how things work
Yep.
in the U.S. completely different, even
Yeah.
though we're part
I
of
get it.
the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of a culture shock. And at the beginning, I just felt like, well, I'm not, yes, I was born a U.S. citizen, but I don't feel.
But you're not treated that way.
But I'm not treated that way.
Exactly.
And I don't feel American, like I'm here. And then all these people ask me, some people have asked me, so how did you come here? Like, how did you cross the border? I'm like, oh, I didn't cross the border. I
took a
flew
plane.
here.
Yeah, took a plane. Right over there.
So it was kind of a shock. But you still, like, at least for me, my experience was like, I felt at the beginning I didn't fit in because I was like, well, I'm not an immigrant, but I'm not a U.S. born American.
Right.
So it was kind of hard. But I mean, the difference is huge. We do have immigration in Puerto Rico too, mostly from the Caribbean, so
Right.
mostly from the Dominican Republic, and we have people from Haiti. A lot of people are coming in from Venezuela too because of the political situation down there. And we do also witness some sort of rejection from the
Right.
Puerto Rican community against immigrants, right?
Sure.
People who are coming and they have the same comments that they have here. They're stealing our jobs. They're doing this. They're doing that.
Right.
So it's kind of the same speech, which you could consider it like as a hate speech.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah.
So it was a shock.
Wow. So now you've been here for 4 years, though.
Yes.
Wow. Any better now?
Yeah. I still miss it. I'm still homesick.
Yeah, of course, of course.
But yeah, it's better.
Do you go back home very much at all?
I haven't. I think the last time I went was right after Hurricane Maria hit. I haven't been, but I'm planning on soon.
Good. I'm going to go too, actually.
We can all go.
That's cool.
I'll
Works
be
for
the
me.
tour guide.
That'll be good. That'll be good. But you know something, guys, it's cool that you guys have these experiences. Your family have different experiences, and that's the thing that's going to make your show viable. It's going to make it mean something to people, because people are going to call you not just because of what you do, but part of your experiences are the same things that they have gone through. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them. So I think I've always thought that there's certainly a need for it. I'm glad you guys are here. I'm overjoyed by your background, but again, you're very real people. You don't have a degree, and you're like, yes, I have a degree, and I am here. No, your ass is not. Let's just bring it down a notch or two. So I think that part of it is great. So again, I'm very thankful that you guys agreed to have your show here. So thank you very, very much for that. Appreciate it. I know, at least for now, the show is scheduled to air on the first and third Tuesdays of each month. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. No, that's right. Yes.
It's more of the back and forth.
It wouldn't have been surprising me for you to say, Steve, no, that is not the time. My own sorry. Okay.
You're so used to us already.
We can't do that day. Okay, cool. I get it. Do you guys think that this kind of platform, though, is important?
Yes.
Yes, I mean, absolutely. I think there's a lot of issues that are not discussed, that are not talked about, and maybe not even from our perspective. And by that I mean that we are young Hispanic women who are also professionals and business owners.
So that in and of itself is different?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think we have a different perspective. If you have a Latin male, his perspective is going to be very different from ours. It's not the same. But I think that because we interact with people of different backgrounds in our regular, everyday life because of our job, we actually have the opportunity to learn about a lot of people's experiences and backgrounds.
Right.
And a lot of time they're shocking. And so a lot of the issues that come to my attention because I hear the stories from other people.
Right.
And they are things that I didn't think needed to be talked about, or I felt like, oh, well, how come this person doesn't know about this? Like, I thought it should be general knowledge, but then it's kind of like a grounding experience because you realize that you have had I'm not saying you, but me.
No.
I have had some type of privilege as far as information and education.
I get it. Yeah.
And so then I realized, wow, I can't believe that this person doesn't know this, something that I thought is a given.
But it's funny. You only know what you know.
Yeah. It's also what is passed along.
That as well. Yeah. But again, it goes right back to you only know what you know. You know what you've experienced. You know what you've been given.
That's true.
What's been passed down.
Yes.
And if it doesn't go any further than that, then that's it. Now, does that mean the person is limited? Perhaps to some degree, yeah. But perhaps they are very, very good at something. We don't know. But, the downside is to all of this is that, people are in need. They come here because they are in need. And I personally hate the way that so many folks are not being treated fairly.
Right.
Now, can we afford to help people? Oh, hell yeah, we can. If we can throw away gazillion dollars on a daily basis on stupid shit in the government, then we can afford to help people. Now, does that mean that they all stay here? No, it doesn't necessarily mean that. But I think there's other ways that we could reroute funding and help people in different ways.
Right.
I'm sorry. I went off on a tangent. Very sorry.
That's okay.
It happens. I do that from time to time.
But, like immigration aside, and although immigration is obviously, we live
I
this.
did. I went right there.
Yeah,
didn't I?
we
Yeah,
live
sorry.
this. We live this every day because of our job.
Right.
We're immigration attorneys, and I am an immigrant myself. But aside from that, I think a lot of the attention we want to bring to is like not every Hispanic Latin person in the U.S. is an immigrant.
Right.
Yes.
And if we are immigrants, we might already be U.S. citizens,
Yeah.
like me.
Hello.
And there's a lot of misconceptions
And there's
too.
a lot of misconception. Some people might just judge you based on your speech.
Oh, absolutely.
And they don't realize your background story. And so I often find that certain people are more likely to make certain comments with me because they might not think
Right.
that
That's
I
exactly
was born
right.
for abroad. And then I'll tell them, well, I'm actually not born in the U.S.
But explain the what is it called again? The 1.5.
Oh, yes. I am what is known as a 1.5 immigrant.
Which
And
means
what that means is that I wasn't born in the U.S., so I can't be considered second generation, but I came at a young enough age where I was able to assimilate to quote unquote American
Right.
culture. Mm-hmm. So I'm considered 1.5. See, my parents would be 1. So first generation immigrants have a little bit more trouble assimilating because they're older, and it's
Right.
just harder to pick up the language, and it's harder to completely change all your customs.
Sure. Yeah.
It's not that they don't want to, it's just more difficult.
Right.
And 1.5 is all these young kids. You could even say the dreamers, quote unquote dreamers,
Sure.
the DACA youth, they are 1.5.
Right.
Their
right.
first language is usually English.
But don't they kind of get it on both ends? And what I mean by that is, you're 1.5. You're here in the U.S. People say things to you all the time, saying that they don't want you, you're not wanted here. You shouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
But if they go back to their country, they're looking at you and saying, "What are you doing here? You're not one of us."
Yeah.
I mean, is that fair?
Yeah. I mean, it's not fair.
No.
But that's how it
But the
is.
statement. I mean, yeah.
Yes, they'll say,
I mean,
like
so you're
you're,
caught in
too,
the
you're too
middle.
American.
Right. Yeah.
You know, which is really, you're too westernized is what they mean.
Wow.
But yeah, no, so you don't belong here or there.
Nowhere, yeah, right.
Yeah, so what I've heard is then you just belong to both places, right? So if you don't belong,
yeah.
somebody phrased that, and I said, oh, well, that's a really interesting,
I like
nice
that.
way of putting that. If you're too foreign for Americans, and I have to do the air quotes because,
Sure. Yeah.
you know, but you are too American for your home country where you were born, then
Right.
where are you from? And you just belong to both places. And I think it also depends on your level of Spanish. Like, I'm fully bilingual, so I can go back and communicate, but we have clients who were brought here at the age of 4, and if they had to go back, they can't even really speak Spanish.
Oh,
And
wow.
they
Yeah.
just know life in the U.S.,
Yeah.
which is very different
Yeah.
from
Yes.
Latin America or
Yeah.
Central America or the Caribbean. So yeah,
Interesting.
it's very interesting.
Wow. Yeah, well, yeah, that's. I mean, I don't know. What do you do? I just, my hat is off to you, ladies, for doing what you do. Because yesterday, do I have the slide? No, I don't have it on this one. We were talking about informing people to make sure that they know that they have to not hire, but elect the right judges.
Yes.
So you have to go in front of judges. I'm sure they're not all. I'm sure you leave with your head shaking sometimes.
She just had an
They're all
experience.
great.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
super. Love my judges. But yeah, we had that conversation last night because I think that's an area on the ballot that is overlooked over and over and over again because it's, well, you don't know that. So that's something we talked about last night. And
Sorry, I don't
again,
know what's going on right now.
you have a ghost phone or something.
Yes, I figured it out. Technical difficulties.
But yeah, that is an important. It's very important that people understand the hire. I keep saying that, but the election of the right judges. And I put it on the judges who are running. I'm like, listen, you guys need to get out there and make sure people know who you are,
Right.
what you're running for, what you
Right.
stand for, those kinds of things. Because quite frankly, if people don't know who you are, then they're not going to vote. For you to show up, there's I don't know 4 or 5 names on a ballot. At that point, you don't know who the heck they are. There's no picture there. Or
Right.
is there a picture? No, there's no picture.
No, there isn't.
I don't think so.
Right.
There isn't. But
So-
I mean, I think we were discussing this earlier, how in the Latin community, I mean, there's already voter apathy in the United States in general.
Right.
So now, as you narrow it down to the communities, I would say that it's not something that is very important, especially, okay, so the presidential election, yes, they might.
So
you
that's
know,
about the only thing that's important, you think?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think so. I think so. I think for many people in the Hispanic community, they are not even aware that there's some type of local election going on.
Right.
And even like when we have clients that become citizens, we immediately ask them, "Have you registered to vote?"
Right. Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, it's important
Yeah, it is.
that
It
you
is.
participate in this democracy. And you know, in some countries, you're not allowed to vote.
Right. That is true.
But I will say that usually once, see, and then here you have to separate that too. If we talk about Hispanic immigrants who are naturalized, meaning became citizens,
Right.
obtained citizenship, they're more likely to go out and vote because it was a long road to get that citizenship.
Right.
You
Right.
want to vote.
Yep. So that's to them. That's
You know
like
what I'm
gold.
saying?
It's
Yes.
like, oh yeah,
I-
finally.
Yeah, and I mean, I see that in my own family. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
my parents wanted to go vote.
Right.
I was ready. I was excited. I
Sure.
went and made the line the first presidential election. I was excited
Mm-hmm.
because it took so long to get there.
But as you were saying, though, the other races are not viewed as being important.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair? I mean, I'm sorry. Is my statement fair?
Yeah, you mean as
Okay.
other minorities?
Yes.
Say that again.
You
were
the
saying-
other races, you mean
The other elections, like non-presidential
Yes.
elections.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
People just dismiss them. I remember the last ones that we had locally, and
Right.
you know how you wear those little
Yeah, I
stickers.
vote,
I
yeah.
voted.
Mhm.
So I was wearing one, and I remember a lot of people were like, "What did you vote for? Like, what was going on?" And I was like, "Well, definitely." And I don't know if
I
it's
shouldn't be
because
laughing.
I mean, I don't know how elections work in all Latin American countries.
Right.
But I know that we don't have that in Puerto Rico, like, you know, different elections for different levels of, I guess.
But you do have
the
governor.
government. But we do have one election for governor
Right.
in November every 4 years. So it takes place the same
But you
year.
don't have as many races as we do here.
We don't.
Yeah.
So for maybe someone who just moved from Puerto Rico, and that's one interesting thing is that even though we're U.S. citizens, we can't vote for president unless we live in the mainland, unless we live in one of the 50 states, right? So
Amazing.
my first time voting here was in the last election when I
Right.
moved to Charlotte, and I was so excited because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get to vote for president.
Right.
But that doesn't happen. Like, we don't have as many races. So at the beginning, I wasn't even aware. I knew that something was going on,
Sure.
but then, of course, I went and I read and I looked it up and I was able to vote. So that is something that we would like to bring awareness towards the community also.
So there had to be
there's-
some kind of advocacy
Yeah.
to push.
And I think they're that, like I was saying, then you have the second generation.
Right.
Those are born U.S. citizens. They're more likely to have apathy for voting.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a different
And even
category.
1.5s.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Even 1.5s.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Interesting. Well, listen, as you guys probably well know, there's so many, as my sign says, that there are laws that are in place to contain you and policies in place to remind you. I mean, it's awful that these things are there, but people want to make sure that certain segments of the population will not, one, vote, two, get ahead, three, I guess I can keep going.
Right.
But it's awful that it is. Did you hear that? When you feel that there is a loss of freaking power, you do some crazy shit. But that's just me. I'm sorry. I got to get away from my tangents, man. I'm sorry.
He had to get it out. Okay.
I did, I did.
like your tangent.
Yeah,
And I have a lot to say about that. So
I
I'm just
bet
gonna
you
keep
do.
it.
We have a lot of tantrums too lately, actually. You just don't get to see them.
Exactly. We just don't have someone filming
yeah.
what we think. you know.
Wow. And the other good thing, too, of course, about the network and the show being on the network is that there are no restrictions. Oh, my God, that is bizarre. But there are none. So you could, one show, you can be talking about cupcakes, and the next show, you could be talking about Rikers Island. You know, it's like, what? So, or if you want to Skype somebody into the show that's from Puerto Rico, wherever they are, you can Skype them into the show or FaceTime, whatever they got. But there's a lot of great things that you can do with this platform, ladies, and I think you're going to do fantastic. And
Thank
I do
you.
appreciate that you guys are here. I'm not trying to close out the show, so trust me, I'm not on that part right now.
He's already kicking us out. It's like,
Time to go.
He didn't even offer us the wine.
no.
Right. How do you I think you've said to me that you've told some folks about you guys having your own show. What was their initial reaction?
Well, we already have fans and groupies
Oh,
watching
damn.
from Puerto
Wow.
Rico.
Wow. Wow. Okay, good. Very good.
My son is watching too.
Okay.
No, but everyone was really excited, at least when I told my friends and we told our coworkers, right? Everyone was like, that is so cool that you get to go speak your mind.
Yeah.
And the no restrictions part. Wow.
Yeah. That is true. I just want to know what you're going to talk about before you talk
Yes.
about it. That would be
There's-
nice.
There's a lot of, I think, support. We've gotten a lot of support. A lot of I know my family members, friends are like, I'm going to be watching.
My
So
good.
I know they're watching.
Very good. Very good. I mean, based on the feed that I see so far, there's a lot of people watching.
Really? Can I give a shout out? I'm just oh my god.
Oh, it's the ladies from the Deluxe Podcast Show. Katie Lux and Lux Lishman says hello and welcome to the network.
Oh, thank you.
Hi,
Hi.
thank you. Let me know.
There's a lot of people, though.
Please don't.
Oh, God. What are you doing?
No, I
Her
don't
phone
want to
is.
activate this.
Yeah, I don't know who else is. Oh, who's this down here? I have no idea. But
Well, we posted on our business, on our firm's page. So, we may have some clients watching.
Yeah.
too.
gotcha.
Saludar.
It's funny. So last night we were talking about lots of different things, election of judges and things. We also talked about this group of people, and the thing read, "Who's the right fit for the black community?" Of course, now it says, "Who's the right fit for Latinos?" And last night the consensus was none of them. So I'm like, wow. But I'm not going to speak for you. But do you guys have a personal preference? Is it any of these or none of these? I mean, hell, is it Trump? I don't know.
Definitely not Trump. I just have to get that out.
that out of my
Let me
system.
just get that out there.
I mean, I personally,
And I'm not asking you to choose.
no.
Right.
I personally haven't decided. I am
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
two people.
You're 1.5.
But I am 1.5. Exactly. This is my whole life is being in between. But yeah, I think that just says a lot because in I believe in prior elections, it's been more obvious
Right.
the choice.
Right. I agree. Yeah.
And maybe I don't know. I'll let Josie speak.
No. I still haven't decided myself. I have been following the debates
Right.
and everything, the primaries, Iowa, New Hampshire, all
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
And obviously what they have to say specifically about immigration, because unfortunately or luckily, I
Yeah.
am at immigration court a lot, and I have seen the change with this new administration,
you have.
and it has been devastating.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're tired of losing immigration court. We would like a change.
Right.
And I have been watching closely what each of them have to say about immigration. I still haven't decided or made up my mind. But I think it's an interesting race, and of course, like I said at the beginning, definitely not Trump. So
But you know something, let me just say this too. But I also think that the government needs to do right by Puerto Rico.
I'm sorry, what?
The government, the federal government, has to do right by Puerto Rico. In
Yes.
other words, they haven't treated Puerto Rico the way that they've been treating Puerto Rico like Puerto Rico is a foreign country,
Yes.
Yes.
an adversary.
Yes.
Yes, a lot of people call that that we're being treated as second-class U.S. citizens.
Sure, pick a phrase. Yeah,
And
you know, it's never good.
yes, and yes, it has been terrible the way that we have been treated. I experienced a lot of it myself while I was living in the island. Lucky for me, I was living in the States already when the hurricane hit, and then all the earthquakes that have been
Oh, right,
hitting also recently. But that doesn't mean that I still have people there
Sure.
that I love and care for. And when I speak to them and what's going on there, like a lot of my friends say, this is terrible. Like, I don't want to live here anymore. A lot of people are coming to the Carolinas area. Surprisingly, because they know other people, they know that this is an area that is growing a lot.
Right.
There's a lot of job opportunities,
Sure.
so they're coming this way, or they're either coming from New York and Florida. I guess
Right.
because it's so crowded
Right,
in these
right,
two
right.
states that they're just moving towards something where there's more opportunities. But the treatment has been terrible with everything. We've had a lot of political issues in the island too.
Right.
We've had a governor that resigned because
Right.
the people of Puerto Rico just kept asking him to just leave.
And I thought that was amazing, though. The people got
Yes.
together and said, "Get your ass out of there."
That was
I thought
amazing.
that was freaking amazing, man. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, PR, yes. Okay, sorry. Here we go.
I'm gonna bring you a flag next time.
Works for me.
But yeah, that is something that we also look out for. I know that some candidates have specifically addressed the issue with Puerto Rico,
Right.
the political, the corruption,
Yeah.
and the treatment. So that is definitely something that I will be looking out for.
But you know something? You can't talk about corruption in Puerto Rico without talking about corruption in this damn country. Whoa, what is that about? Okay, Puerto Rico, you're just so corrupt. Your electrical grid is really screwed up, and you need to get it straight before we're going to give you support. Okay, you need to do a background check on yourself and look at all the bullshit that you've done, that you're continuing to do. I did it again, didn't I?
No, it's fine.
You're fine. We're used to it now.
I mean,
Jesus.
I think that a lot of what this criticism that they do of the island, I mean, it's just one of those tactics to deflect attention
I
from
agree
the
with
real
you.
issues.
Yeah.
That's just, people don't realize that the island is not even close to recovering.
Right.
But now it's just kind of in the back of people's minds because
Right.
they're not living it every day.
Right.
And
Right.
so now you have this quote unquote migration into the U.S. And I think something that is also not understood is that and it's not most, well, yeah, it's not everyone, but a lot of people come here unwillingly. They don't really want to leave their home.
Right, but it's a have-to situation.
It's kind of a forced circumstance.
Yeah.
Because you don't have food to eat. So a lot of times when you learn people's background stories, you start to understand what drove this person to come here. And I say this not just for Puerto Ricans leaving the island, but also for people from foreign countries.
Right.
And then there are people who, they come here, they want to come here. Their dream is to come to the U.S.
Sure.
Because obviously the U.S. is perceived as this place where you can have whatever you want.
Yeah.
This is the American dream.
Excuse me. Yep, that is a perception. That's right.
But it's not that, people just say, not everyone. Most people actually are here very much unwillingly, and it's a forced circumstance. It's,
right.
well,
Yes.
my children don't have food, and so
It's forced migration.
It's
You could call it that way.
Yeah,
A lot
I
of
get
these
that.
people are fleeing from violence, and some people tell you, well, I had a choice. Either I stayed and watch my kids getting murdered or kidnapped
Right,
or
right.
raped, or I took them, I take them with me and cross all these borders that I have to cross and give all these things that I had in my country up, and risk their lives coming here. And I see a lot of people commenting, not only between the community, the same Latin American community, like, oh, this person died crossing the river. Well, what was he thinking? Like, why would he put his kid, in harm's
remember
way?
that. Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you don't know what was happening. Something must have driven him out of the country.
That's exactly right.
To do that,
Yeah. Wow.
so
I remember that photograph.
And
It was
we-
gut-wrenching.
we are
Yes.
not endorsing unlawful immigration.
No.
No. I
we
get it.
never even, we always were very clear about that with everyone. But like I said, we are in the position where we get to see the other side. We hear the background story, and some of the stories they're just, like, you can't even believe that it's real life
Right.
that they're telling
Stuff
you.
you see in a movie.
Yes, that this person has undergone all this trauma and struggles, and so now they're here, and you can't even believe that somebody has gone through all that.
Right. Right. Yep.
And
Yep.
at a young age, most of the time.
Yes.
So, it's. I just think, like you asked, why is this platform important? Because education is important. You're less likely to be mean towards another person or make a discriminatory comment if you start to understand more.
That is true.
And
You're absolutely right.
People are just afraid of the unknown. So
Yeah.
if you look different, if you are different, if you speak different, then they might just not like you, or this is threatening.
true.
But if you actually share some time with this person, listen to their story, you might actually find that this is your best friend now.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Because
I
there's
agree.
always going to be common ground. We're just, everyone is human. So that's why I think this platform is important, to bring attention, also to break stereotypes.
Yes.
We are definitely stereotyped a lot.
I bet you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't think we fit the mold of the stereotype, both me and Jossie in general. So
Well,
between me and you, Steve.
I know.
Entre nos.
That's right.
I can't really dance salsa. Please. Don't judge.
Yeah, not my thing. Can't do it. Wow. Interesting. You know what I would love to do, though, is you don't have to do this on your show, but I would love to be able to get like some kind of update from Puerto Rico weekly or even once a month or something. Somebody could be on their cell phone and we could have it up on the screen. They can give an update on what's going on. I mean, do you know anybody there that
Oh,
I...
yes.
Oh, yeah, they're all watching right now.
Well, if you heard what I just said, let's make that transaction happen, because I really want to expose a lot of the things that people are just not seeing. I just want to make that thing happen. But we'll talk about it after the show. Yeah, that would be awesome. Oh, somebody just give a big thumbs up. Okay.
Oh, is that person volunteering?
I don't know. So, ladies, listen. I think what is being done, the vision for the show is phenomenal. I think you guys are going to do great. I'm going to do all that I can to make sure that you guys are going to do some great things and have great content. And I will listen. I'll be honest with you. When needed, if you're saying that you're going to be talking about how the grass grows, I will tell you that is not a good topic.
Right, right.
Aww.
Jossie wants to do a cooking show. So.
Yes.
Who you want to do the cooking show with? Does his name start with a B?
I could find someone.
I bet you could.
Yeah, we could actually have a mix of Peruvian and Puerto Rican cuisine.
Ooh.
That would be an interesting
That
cooking show.
would. That would be kind of cool. I like
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Yes.
Because it's funny because we do have a cooking show on our plan for the network to have a cooking show.
Maybe we can be guests at that cooking show.
Yes.
Somehow, I believe that you will be there. Yeah.
Somehow.
I will try. I will volunteer to try the food.
It's-
Yeah.
The what do you call those? Testers?
The tester.
Yes.
yeah. That's what they're called. In this case, it's just called Jossie. So
Yes, Jossie.
come give it a try. Okay. Ladies, I think that's. I want to make sure we get through everything. The platform is kind of platform important. There's no restrictions. I'm not sure if we talked about it, but what can the community expect from you? Did we tackle that one?
Well, that question is very broad.
Yeah, it is.
The attorney in me is like, what exactly do you mean?
The Fifth Amendment.
But I think so this is what I want to answer.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
What I want to answer is we're very candid.
Right.
We pretty much wear our hearts on our sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a poker face at all. And we both speak our mind, so very
That's a plus.
and we laugh a lot. We make jokes all the time, and like you mentioned, a lot of times people think because we're attorneys, because we're business owners, maybe we're very serious.
Right,
But
right.
we're the complete opposite of that.
Hallelujah.
And we have so much fun when we work
Right.
because of that.
Good.
Because
Good.
we can just joke about things and make light of a lot of situations,
Mm-hmm.
which helps a lot when you have a stressful job.
Yes.
And when you're, dealing with a lot of, I would say, it's not stories, traumatic stories.
Mhm.
But yeah, you can expect a lot of laughs, a lot of jokes, a lot of random tangents and commentary,
Well, good. No,
opinions.
That's good.
But there will also be serious topics. We do want to talk about abuse.
Ooh, yeah.
In the Latin community, yes.
Wow.
And we want to tackle not only physical abuse, but also emotional, financial abuse. We want to try to help the community understand and point out abuse, because usually people just think of abuse as, you
The
punch
physical,
me, or you push me, or you try to choke me, but
Right.
that's not. It's so broad in the spectrum that we would like to bring awareness to the community so they can identify those other types of abuse.
Got you. Okay. No, that's good.
At the same time, mention local resources.
Yes.
That would be great. Yeah.
Mecklenburg County is really good when it comes
Oh,
to
really?
Yeah. They
In
have
Spanish,
they have
too.
centralized a lot of the different resources.
That's good to hear. Okay.
So, a lot of people just don't know
Mm-hmm.
that there's an option. And if on top of that you live in fear because of your immigration status,
Right.
now you've added one more element
Yeah.
to the abuse, in
Yeah.
addition to the financial dependency, emotional, psychological, isolation, you name it. And so some people, and we've heard this from clients, think that they have to put up with it
Right.
because that might be what someone in the family has said.
Right. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's fine, because he's your husband and he provides for you, so he's a good man. And so we hear things like that, and a lot of it has to do, again, with education. You mentioned withholding information is just key to control someone.
Right.
So if there's information, and who knows,
Excuse me.
maybe they do have access. Maybe they do have access to a phone and social media, and maybe they happen to hear it,
Right.
and it may get that they start thinking about it.
Right.
And I think as long as you start that idea of, you know what, I deserve better, I can get help, I think that's already like good enough, because you're giving them some hope. But yeah, it is hard to reach that audience because there's often so restricted, there's
Right.
not a lot of a lot of times their phone is being monitored.
Really?
Yes. But
Really?
yeah.
Okay. All right. Damn.
We'll have a couple of shows on what we have learned about abuse. It's mind-blowing,
Yes.
the
Jeez.
techniques that people use,
Yeah.
how creative they get, so that nobody else suspects. It's very, very interesting and sad.
Okay. All right.
So that would not be a funny show,
Right.
but we do have a lot of topics that, we'll probably discuss
Good.
that will be enjoyable. We don't also always want to bring, people down.
It's funny you say that because my wife on my show, she says, honey, I love what you're doing, but your topics are so heavy sometimes. It's like, I can't take it. It's too much. I said, okay, I'll lighten it up a little bit.
Line it up. Yes.
But no, I get what you're saying, though. I get it. I mean, every show can't be tremendously heavy and so serious, but you have to have some light ones. So that's important.
Yes.
Awesome. Ladies, thank you very, very much. I do appreciate it. Let me just talk about what's coming up tomorrow. Frankly Speaking with Timon Farley is coming up tomorrow. Jonathan Metcalf is going to be back on the show with him. Those two guys on the last show went at each other because they were talking about incarceration in America for modern black America. You could really say black and brown America. It's the same damn thing. It's really unfortunate. But this is going to be part 2. So again, this is tomorrow. Then on Friday, Joel Ford is back with The Situation. He's talking about school choice, the black choice, the right choice. School choice has almost always been the issue that nobody really wants to talk about, or if they do talk about it, they get into these large, crazy conversations about what's right and what's wrong with it. So Joel's going to be talking about that on Friday. And that, let me just leave it. There we go. Right there. I think we're at let me try to bring this back up. Yes. That is, going to do it. Folks, I appreciate you guys watching. We are done for tonight. Thank you so much. The folks who are watching from Puerto Rico, thank you. Wherever you're watching from, guys, we really appreciate Canada, all over that's the wonderful thing, man. People can watch from any place in the world. Ladies, thank you very, very much. I think you guys are going to be awesome. And we're done. See you guys. Have a good one.
Bye.
That was awesome. Hold on.
Bye.